So the 2024 season has come to an end here in Atlanta. Falcons dropped their final game to the Panthers 44-38. And then if you were paying attention to the Bucs-Saints game, the Saints gave up a horrific final drive to Baker Mayfield, and the Bucs there had him dead to rights for a safety in his own end zone, and they let him convert on that third down. And then a play or two later, he breaks for 40-plus yards. And then they go on to score. Mike Evans goes on to break Jerry Rice's 1,000-yard receiving record. So it's cool for the Bucs, right? Not too good for us. But again, we didn't really handle our business on our end either. So, that doesn't really matter. Shouts out to Mike Evans. Great player, Hall of Famer for sure, right? Now, let's get into some issues at hand, right? Because, a lot of us out here feeling bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, as Stephen A. once said, right? Because, we were told a lot of things about specifically this quarterback situation, right? We were told a lot of things at the beginning of the season. Oh, we're in good hands, and even if we're not in good hands, we got the future drafted, so it's all good, right? And, I've had numerous conversations throughout the day, throughout the season, about this situation as it's unfolded. And it's kind of just, obviously we're at the end of it now, so we can kind of, really make a better decision about, how we feel about that, right? About what happened this season, about the decisions that were made. And, honestly, I've thought about it ad nauseum, right? It was never a good time to put Michael Penix in my opinion. Week 12, 13, when things were still in reach, right? If you had that kind of faith in him the whole time, as you can see, they have a totally different playbook for this kid, right? Like, we can see that clear as day. It's a totally different playbook for this kid. My thing is that if you knew this week 12, week 13, week 4, it didn't take all year to notice that Kirk Cousins was not 100% healthy, right? So at that point, if you had that kind of faith in him, why not put him in, right? Instead, you kind of allow Kirk Cousins to let the season go to waste. And again, now it's exactly what I feared a few weeks ago when Michael Penix was named the starter, that this was just going to be a preview, a few games just to see what we'll do next year. And then we got to wait until April to see him again, right? And I didn't want that. I'm just not happy with it at all, with, just how things have turned out, right? We don't even end up making the playoffs. There's no reason that we should have lost the NFC South. I'm sorry. No reason at all. Sweeping the Buccaneers, the team that ends up winning the division, we swept them. Swept them. And they still end up making it just based off of our record. A 5-game stretch of Kirk Cousins playing the worst that he's played in his entire career, right? And so again, this kind of brings me back to my next topic, right? Like, Raheem Morris has honestly only been a defensive coordinator, okay, twice in his career, right? This is his second head coaching experience, right? How are these decisions being made? Is he making the right decisions, right? Even when it comes to the defense. And to be completely honest with you, like I say, I know a lot of why he was hired has to do with his background as a DC, right? But again, he's only been that twice. The rest of his career, he's been a DB coach. And don't get me started on the DBs this year. In terms of this entire defense, I kind of took a look at Jimmy Lake as well. He had, some experience at Washington and some other places, University of Washington, by the way, okay, and some other places. And so, it is what it is with that, because when I really stop and think about it, the Falcons have had the same problems with pass rush, with things of that nature, with bend but don't break for years, under different coordinators, under different head coaches, you name it. I mean, they bought 2 defensive head coaches in here. Okay, you had Dan Quinn, and then you got Raheem Morris right now, right? And you still had the same kind of issues under Dan Quinn, right? Even with the Super Bowl season, right? You had Vic Beasley with the pop out, cool, right? Immediately after that, there was no pass rush again, and there hasn't been one since. So, what my thing is, what is that, right? Is it a philosophy kind of thing? I've said on numerous occasions that I just feel like this franchise is far more interested in selling tickets than they are winning games. Okay, and is that one of the things, right? Is that one of the reasons why this defense just can't seem to kind of, I want to say, level up with the offense, right? Like, we've had prolific offenses here over the years. You go through Matt Ryan's career, and obviously we're going to have a prolific offense with Michael Penix at the helm, right? But again, it's been the same thing defensively, right? So I can't even really call it a coaching thing at this point. I don't know what it is, right? Is it a personnel kind of thing? What is it, right? Now, speaking of personnel, as far as Jimmy Lake is concerned, right, his 2 defensive draft picks that we picked up, Brandon Dorlus as well as Braylon Trice, both injured super early in the season. Brandon Dorlus, I think, played a few games here and there, maybe 2, and then was right back on IR. So those 2 pieces, as far as that D-line is concerned, that front 7 is concerned, were very vital pieces that we just didn't really get to see this year. I know I call him Kaido, that's Rook Ororo. All right, I call him Kaido, though, just for future reference. All right, if he has a great career here, if he ends up being Grady Jarrett 2.0, just know that I call him Kaido. All right, that's for y'all to know for future reference. But he showed some flashes this year. That was our second draft pick this year, so he's shown some good flashes. So I look for him to, be on the field a little more, especially with Grady Jarrett kind of regressing this season, and maybe kind of looking to move elsewhere, maybe to a more of a contender, I would say, or something like that, somewhere where he can kind of lower his snaps but be more effective, right? So kind of like Calais Campbell kind of thing. I think he's earned that through his career. A couple of my buddies don't think so, or just don't think that he's at that Calais Campbell kind of level, right? So that's yet to be seen. But, again, some of these injuries that the Falcons did sustain this year honestly really hurt them, right? Even when you look at like Rondale Moore being on the IR, right? Super early in the season, didn't really get to see too much of him. That's another piece, right? You needed some speed in the slot right there. Obviously, Kyle Pitts did not come through for you this year. It was kind of London and Mooney out there for the most part. And then, hell, Bijan Robinson probably got more catches than Kyle Pitts this year when I really think about it. I'd have to look at it, but I'm almost certain that, especially for a running back, he has way too many catches in comparison to Kyle Pitts, right? It's probably way too close if I really go look at it. So, again, that pass game was kind of lacking as far as the weapons that you thought you were coming in with. And then you had some of the injuries on defense, depth-wise, right? I heard Taquan Graham's name a lot last season, right? Obviously, DeMarco Hellams getting injured is what brings Justin Simmons in, but I like Justin Simmons as a piece. I think he's decent for the run game, things of that nature. Obviously, in the pass game, he didn't really show up that much this year, but I think he does. He does do a good job in the run game, right? But you want him to make some more plays, get some picks, things of that nature in the pass game. That didn't really happen. Obviously, Jesse Bates has kind of lived up to that. Definitely hope he's a piece of that core group here with MPJ moving forward, right? Even Troy Anderson. I saw Troy Anderson making a lot of plays in the preseason. He ends up on the IR for the season. That's another big piece. Like I say, just depth-wise defensively, right? Late in games when this team seems to kind of start to fall apart, right? You need those pieces depth-wise to give some of those better players a break. And, obviously just some of these guys can do different things, right? Like I say, I saw Troy Anderson flying all over the place in preseason, right? And again, you needed that speed at linebacker, right? We're lacking in the speed department. Another reason why we need these younger guys off of this IR, right? Braylon Trice, Brandon Dorlus, 2 outside guys with some athleticism. We need that, right? And Braylon Trice, I believe, was a 3 technique, so disregard that. But again, an athletic guy, some guys that can, and athleticism on the D-line kind of translates to pass rush, right? So you get some speed, guys that can make moves in the interior, And that's how you get a pass rush going, right? So a lot of those things are yet to be seen just due to the injuries, right? So something to look forward to next year. Obviously, we need to get some more pieces in here. Definitely, listen, if cornerback is not the first pick off the board, especially where we're drafting at, I know something. You hear me? I know something, all right? Now, what I just said about selling tickets and winning games, I bullshit you not. If a cornerback isn't the first thing taken off the board next year, tickets, not games, okay? I promise you that needs to be the first thing off the board. This coaching staff has to make some adjustments, all right? I like what Zach Robinson has done or is doing with MPJ. Kind of like I said, man, it's a whole different offense with this kid back there. It's a damn shame that they really let Kirk Cousins limp out there for as long as they did. That's neither here nor there, right? All right, it's in the past now. We're on the 25-26, right? It is what it is, okay? But, again, I like what Zach Robinson's doing. I think Jimmy Lake and Raheem Morris have to kind of, figure this thing out, man, for real. Because you can see it. Today, there's no way that we put 38 points on the board and lose the game. That just can't happen in the NFL. I'm sorry. It can't. Right? So one thing that I thought about as I was making my notes and things for this video is that, you know what? You know who I would have trusted to get this defense right? Bill Belichick. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I don't know why that didn't happen. I don't know what went on in the back rooms and all that shit behind closed doors. But I know that Bill Belichick would have had this defense at least a little better than what it is right now. Right? Injuries and all. I done seen Bill Belichick make defenses with motherfuckers that I don't even know who these people are. Right? Kyle Van Noy. Shit like that. You know what I mean? So, again, that's another neither here or there. He coaches in North Carolina now. I'm just saying. That would have been decent to try to get this defense to the next level. All right? But now we're here. Okay? So, again, Raheem, Jimmy, y'all got to go back to the drawing board this offseason and figure this shit out. Okay? You have a few pieces. Obviously, we got some guys coming back from injuries next season. You're going to have some of these guys leaving. And truthfully, a lot of these guys that are leaving are good riddance, right? I'm looking at the list here of free agents. Okay, obviously Kirk, Matt Judon, okay, Lorenzo Carter, bye. Richie Grant, D. Alford, all of that. Listen, man. I read a stat about D. Alford today. He has allowed a QBR of 120, okay? The highest QBR over the season was Lamar Jackson with 119. Just let that shit sink in, okay? And it don't even matter because you can turn the tape on and see the shit every Sunday, right? They target him every goddamn Sunday. We only got one corner holding the shit down in AJ Terrell. Everybody else is just free game to all these offensive coordinators in the league, right? So that type of shit has to get fixed, right? I know Kevin King only played 9 games this season. I know Kevin King as a serviceable cornerback. We needed him in there, right? But he wasn't here for a lot of the season, and it showed, right? It definitely showed. So, again, defensively, we have to figure this shit out, man. Seriously. Like, listen, like, we're about to have a legit window again, like a Matt Ryan type of window. We gotta, at least be able to get turnovers, things of that nature, something. Like, we have to be able to get off the field, bro, some type of way. And if you can't generate a pass rush on third down, a lot of the times, that's why your DBs are gonna get cooked, okay? It's hard to guard these guys, all right? When you give these guys 3, 4, 5 seconds to look over a defense, they're gonna torch you 9 times out of 10. They're professionals, right? So, that shit goes hand in hand, right? The pass rush, the secondary, it goes hand in hand, okay? You don't get a pass rush, guys start doing next level shit, you know what I'm saying? Scrambling, things of that nature. Oh, I'm gonna turn this out route into a goddamn post and go for 6, right? Shit like that happens all the time. Okay, and so again, it goes hand in hand. They gotta figure out a way to get pressure on the quarterback. They gotta figure out a way to stick on these guys in coverage. It's not gonna make any difference with Michael Penix Jr. being at quarterback if we can't stop anybody. As you can see today, okay, this is a top 5 drafting team in the Carolina Panthers, meaning they're a bottom 5 record-wise in the entire league. And they just put up 44 points. That is ridiculous. 44 points down the road at Mercedes-Benz. No. Right? And it's like, again, you're in a scenario where you got the season on the line. In the back of your mind, you know that if the Saints do this today, we can go to the playoffs. It's not a matter of we didn't bring our A game today or anything like that. You knew what was at stake. Right? And some of those drives just look way too easy. Way too easy. Kind of like the Commanders drive in overtime. Way too easy. This is kind of what I'm getting at, right? With the whole, it was never a good time to put Michael Penix in the game, right? You end up going 2 out of 3, or you end up losing your last 2 out of 3, right? But you scored 38 points, 30 points. What was it, 31-38 against the Commanders? And then you win the Giants game. But again, offense looks great. Defense looks, porous. So, again, it doesn't really matter. You have the core nucleus for the offense, okay? Leave that shit alone. All right, don't come in here drafting offensive players, doing all this crazy shit in the draft, trying to outsmart yourself, bro. If it ain't, I'm talking about 3 picks in a row defense. If not all of them, okay? You know what this offense is, right? Just come on, man. Terry, whoever else in the front office back there, do what's right, man. Okay? Let's start looking at these corners. If you got free agents that you want to get, look at them now. All right? Call them on the phone. Ain't the tampering thing over with? It ain't even the regular season no more. You should be able to call somebody, okay? And if you can't call the free agents, you can definitely talk to the agents for these college kids, all right? Because again, something has to change, evidently, within this franchise itself, right? Like, I don't understand what it is at this point. I don't know, like, we got rid of the people that were fucking up the personnel decisions, right? They're gone. So what's the issue now? Terry Fontenot, you came over here because of your ability to pick diamonds in the rough. So I need to start seeing some goddamn diamonds.
Surgeon Sports Network.